A 70-year-old man just walked away from a face-off between a mountain lion and a grizzly bear. Mother Nature sure knows how to throw us a curveball. Let's dive into today's wild stories, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The ocean is a beautiful yet dangerous place. While the surface sparkles under the moonlight, beneath the waves, deadly predators like sharks lurk. With their powerful bodies and sharp teeth, they're the ultimate hunters. But could these fearsome creatures be defeated by something as small and seemingly harmless as a seal? In 2011, Cape Town, South Africa, turned into a nightmare for British tourist Michael Cohen. While enjoying a leisurely swim, he was viciously attacked by a great white shark. His right leg was severed, and his left was badly mauled. Losing blood rapidly, Cohen became an even more tempting target for the predator. Two men returning home from work spotted a shark circling Cohen, who was swimming alone. But by the time they reached him, the shark had already struck and disappeared. As the two men swam out to rescue him, the cunning shark circled back, preparing for another attack. Humans are no match for sharks in the water. In that terrifying moment, a seal appeared and began swimming in circles around them. None of them knew what was happening underwater, but the seal then surfaced and escorted them to shore, and the shark was nowhere to be seen. It's unbelievable how a small seal could scare a great white shark away. Perhaps the shark was surprised by the seal's strange behavior, or maybe it was intimidated by the seal's bravery. Whatever the reason, Cohen owed the seal a huge debt of gratitude. He was rushed to the hospital and treated for his injuries. On a frigid winter day in Ontario, Canada, Real Guindon went ice fishing with his parents. They were expecting to return home with a fresh catch and a hearty meal, but their plans took a tragic turn. While Real stayed on the shore, his parents decided to venture further out onto the ice. In a horrifying turn of events, the boat capsized, claiming the lives of both parents. Terrified and miserable, he forced himself to walk to the nearest town for help. But when the sun set, he still hadn't arrived, and that was when he realized he would have to sleep outside in the cold. As night fell, the boy huddled shivering in the cold. Alone in the mountains, without food or water, surrounded by wild animals, it seemed as though all hope was lost. But then, he felt a warm, furry creature pressing against him. Exhausted and freezing, he fell asleep. When he woke up the next morning, he was astonished to find that it wasn't a dog, but 3 beavers curled up beside him. They had saved him from freezing to death in the sub-zero temperatures. As you know, beavers are the second largest rodents in the world, second only to capybaras. However, their large size alone couldn't have kept the boy warm enough. Their bodies are specially designed to generate a lot of heat through their muscles without needing to move. They're like portable heaters. That's how the 3 beavers were able to keep Real warm through the cold night. Eventually, Real Guindon made it to town and was rescued. See, it's not just our dog who can be our heroes. Even the most unexpected beings can come to our rescue. In June 1974, the inner island passenger ship Sure Aloha sank about 600 miles south of Manila. A 52-year-old woman named Candelaria Villanueva was one of the lucky few to escape before the ship went down. After 2 days, the Philippine Navy launched a search and found her adrift at sea, clinging to what appeared to be a large oil drum. Sailors tossed her a life buoy, and as she grabbed it, the oil drum beneath her suddenly submerged. At first, the sailors thought it was just a drum, but it turned out to be a giant sea turtle. When Villanueva first found herself adrift, she noticed the sea turtle coming closer and helping her stay afloat by clinging to its shell. The turtle swam tirelessly for 2 days without eating to keep her above water. After she was rescued, the creature circled her a few times before swimming away, as if to reassure her. I'm sure the sailors will never look at oil drums the same way again. On May 28, 1978, 4 fishermen found themselves trapped in a thick fog off the coast of Dasan Island, South Africa. It wasn't a broken engine that had them stranded, but rather the dense fog that made navigating the rocky waters too risky. Suddenly, they noticed a group of dolphins pushing and nudging their boat, forcing them to change direction. As they emerged from the fog, they saw sharp rocks jutting out of the water. The rocks only became clear as they passed by, and the fishermen realized that the dolphins had been guiding them away from the hidden dangers. The dolphins continued to push the boat in a direction only they seemed to know until they reached calmer waters. Then, as if their mission was complete, they swam away. When the fog finally cleared, the men were astonished to find themselves back where they had started that morning. It was truly magical, and although they couldn't thank the dolphins, you can help them by liking this video. Have you ever watched The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson? In 2010, actor Dick Van Dyke revealed that he was once saved by a group of dolphins. He was asked if he ever surfed around his home in California. Dyke said he used to surf but stopped after he came close to death. He recalled that one day he was surfing when he felt sleepy, and he fell asleep on his surfboard. You know, lying on a surfboard on a calm sea is very relaxing, right? But when he woke up after a long sleep, the sea had taken him far away from land. Dyke wondered how he could swim back to shore. What's worse is that there are uninvited guests swimming around. He couldn't see clearly what creatures they were, but he could see dark shapes swimming around, like a school of sharks. But then they surfaced, and he realized they were dolphins. The dolphins pushed his board until he returned to shore. Maybe this will be the last time he sleeps like this in his life. You have heard the stories about dolphins saving people that I have told before, right? However, the following story will be something you have never heard before. In 2008 in the Philippines, Ronnie Dabal was fishing for tuna in Puerto Princesa Bay. Just when he was thinking that he would have a productive day, a sudden storm came, and the fierce ocean waves caused his small boat to sink. He clung to a piece of foam, and after floating for 24 hours, he quickly lost strength. Floating on the sea, with just a piece of sponge, he could be good prey for the surrounding sharks. In such a situation, he can only watch the first miracle happen. Just when he was about to give up hope, a miracle happened. He saw many creatures swimming rapidly on the surface. "Sharks!" he thought. "It's over!" But to his astonishment, it wasn't sharks. It was a pod of about 30 dolphins and 2 whales. And they weren't just swimming by. They were swimming beside him, pushing him towards the shore. The whales were acting as bodyguards, keeping the sharks at bay. With one flick of their tail, a blue whale could seriously injure any attacker. They pushed him all the way to Barangay Beach until they saw fishermen and then turned back to the sea. Wish I had a time machine, huh? I'd totally go back and film it for you. A 69-year-old nature lover and gold prospector from Paradise, California, had a penchant for the thrill of the hunt. One sunny day, he decided to try his luck panning for gold. While exploring whiskey flats, he stumbled upon a family of bears foraging for food. Most people would run a mile, but Biggs, accustomed to the wilderness, stayed to observe. From a safe distance of about 40 feet, he watched the adorable bear family, feeling quite secure. Little did he know, his luck was about to change. A mountain lion had spotted him, and it was stalking, inching closer from behind. Before Biggs could react, the big cat pounced, its jaws sinking into his backpack. Knocked to the ground, Biggs wrestled with the creature. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, a massive figure emerged and sent the mountain lion flying. It was the mother bear from earlier. She roared and stood on her hind legs, towering over the cougar. Outmatched and outweighed, the mountain lion eventually retreated. It seemed like a classic battle for territory, but the bear, after making sure Biggs was okay, returned to her cubs. Biggs returned home with a few scratches but a heart full of gratitude. He believed he'd met the bear before and that she recognized him as no threat. From then on, he felt a special connection with the bear. Let me tell you about Rusty the cat. I'm not sure if this is just a coincidence or what, but it deserves to be retold forever. We often hear about dogs, cats, or other animals saving people. But have you ever heard of a chicken being a hero? Cluck Cluck, a hen, became a hero of a family in Wisconsin. You heard that right. When Dennis Marowska and his wife were fast asleep, Cluck Cluck, who was sleeping in the basement, woke them up at 6:15 a.m. What on earth was going on? Finding it strange that she was being so noisy so early in the morning, Dennis decided to check what was bothering her. That's when he discovered that his garage was on fire and it was spreading to the rest of the house. The smoke alarm in the garage wasn't working properly and didn't alert them to the fire. Dennis immediately woke up his wife, and they ran out of the house, narrowly escaping with their lives. They thought Cluck had escaped too, but she was left behind. Luckily, the firefighters found her alive later. The story of the friendship between Dennis and Cluck is also quite interesting. A long time ago, his neighbor had a flock of chickens and he was going to cook her because she didn't lay eggs. Dennis felt sorry for the chicken because she also had a deformed foot, and he asked his neighbor to let him keep her as a pet, and she saved his whole family's life as a thank you. Alright, after watching this video, let's check if your home's smoke alarm is still working properly. Give this video a like if it's still stable. Going to the zoo this weekend? That sounds like fun. It's a great activity, helping us get closer to nature, especially for kids. I wonder how many of us used to beg our parents to go to the zoo every weekend when we were young. However, always keep a close eye on your children and don't let them wander off, like in this dangerous situation. During a visit to the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago, Illinois, a 3-year-old boy tragically fell into a gorilla enclosure. Falling from a height of nearly 20 feet, the child suffered a broken arm and facial injuries. Panic ensued as the boy landed in an enclosure with several gorillas engaged in a territorial dispute. This was particularly alarming as gorillas can weigh between 180 and 200 kilograms and are highly territorial, often attacking any perceived intruders. It was a life-or-death situation, but then something incredible happened. A mother gorilla named Binti Jua stepped in, even though there were 6 other gorillas fighting nearby. In the video, you can see the little boy lying on the ground before Binti gently picked him up and held him close while carrying her own baby. Experts believe that Binti's maternal instincts, heightened by the presence of her own infant, compelled her to rescue the boy. She then carried the 3-year-old to a door where the rescue team was waiting. When the little boy was reunited with his caregivers, he was taken to the hospital and stayed there for 4 days. After the incident, Binti became an international hero, and the boy's Illinois mom must have thanked that gorilla mom a million times. As of 2022, Binti is still doing well at the Brookfield Zoo, and in March, she celebrated her 34th birthday. This story went viral, and everyone was so confused about how the little boy ended up in the gorilla enclosure. We're all just glad everyone was okay. Remember to keep a close eye on your kids at the zoo, though. Not all gorillas are as friendly as Binti. Can you believe that animals can actually talk? It might sound like a wild idea, but it's true. And who would have thought that parrots could be such incredible communicators? Meet Willie, a mischievous Quaker parrot who not only chatters away but is also a bona fide hero. Willie was part of the Howard family in Denver, Colorado. One day in November 2008, while his human mom, Megan, was looking after her toddler, Hannah, something unexpected happened. Hannah started choking on her food and Megan was in the bathroom. That's when Willie sprang into action, with frantic flapping and loud cries of, "Mom, baby! Mom, baby!" He alerted Megan to the danger. When Megan rushed back to the room, she found Willie standing beside Hannah, whose face was turning a frightening shade of blue. Without hesitation, Megan performed the Heimlich maneuver, and thanks to Willie's quick thinking, little Hannah was saved. It turns out that parrots are incredibly intelligent creatures, second only to crows. Willie's heroic actions earned him the American Red Cross Animal Hero Award, making him the first parrot to receive such a prestigious honor. Megan later shared, "If Willie hadn't alerted me, I might not have gotten out of the bathroom in time." So, the next time you hear a parrot squawking, don't dismiss it as just silly chatter. They might be trying to tell you something important. In 1971, during a cruise in the Indian Ocean, a woman named Ivan Vladislavich met with a terrible tragedy. A fire broke out, causing the ship to explode and sink. Luckily, the water wasn't freezing cold, or we might have had a second Titanic. Unfortunately, being a pleasure cruise, they were far from any major shipping lanes, meaning her chances of rescue were slim to none. To make matters worse, the waters were teeming with sharks. She would have made a tasty meal for them.
Nice.
However, luck was on her side when 3 dolphins came along. They discovered the sinking ship and came to investigate. Seeing Yvonne struggling to stay afloat, one of them swam over and carried her on its back, while the other 2 protected her from the sharks. Despite being smaller than the sharks, the dolphins were smarter and more agile. They were able to work together to fend off the sharks' attacks. They guarded her for hours until she reached a buoy, then left before a passing ship could rescue her. According to the sailors, the dolphins had traveled over 200 miles to safely deliver her. Without these kind-hearted dolphins, she definitely wouldn't have been able to survive at sea. Imagine this, folks. It's 2002, and Grant Dixon is out fishing off the coast of Queensland, Australia, when bam! His boat goes down. Luckily, he manages to grab a life raft, but things quickly take a turn for the worse. There he is, floating in the ocean, bleeding, surrounded by hungry sharks circling and waiting for their next meal. One shark, in particular, was giving him a hard time. But just when you think it can't get any worse, a pod of dolphins comes to the rescue. They bravely fend off the sharks and save Dixon in the nick of time. Despite escaping the jaws of the sharks, Dixon's ordeal wasn't over. He drifted at sea for 40 hours before being rescued by a passing ship. Sadly, he was the only survivor of the 3 people on board. One of his friends had tried to swim to shore and never returned. In a bizarre incident at the Polar Land Aquarium in Harbin, China in 2009, a unique competition was held where people freedived with beluga whales to apply for a job as a beluga trainer. How cool and a bit crazy is that? Yang Yun, a 26-year-old woman, was free diving in a 20-foot deep pool when disaster struck. The icy water caused her leg to cramp, leaving her unable to swim. With the deep water pressure and cold water, she couldn't surface. Just when she thought all hope was lost, Mila, one of the 2 whales in the pool, came to the rescue. She gently took Yang Yun's leg in her mouth and pulled her to safety. Yang Yun shared that she felt like she was drowning, losing all hope, when suddenly a powerful force pulled her up. Belugas, one of the smallest whale species, are known for their killer whale-like hunting habits, but are surprisingly friendly towards humans. Thanks to her large, wrinkled brain, Mila sensed Yang was in danger and decided to take action. Since belugas primarily eat small fish and squid, their teeth are small and didn't hurt Yang at all. Everyone on the shore witnessed this extraordinary scene. I'm not sure if she got the job, but if she did, they'd surely have many more adventures together. Have you ever wondered why Japan experiences so many earthquakes and tsunamis? It's because Japan is located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area with a high concentration of volcanic and seismic activity. On March 11, 2011, during the devastating Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, a 12-year-old Shih Tzu named Babu proved to be a true hero, living with his 83-year-old owner, Tommy Akanuma, in a house just 200 meters from the coast in Miyako, Japan. Babu sensed something was wrong as soon as the earthquake hit. He started pacing around the room, whining loudly and wagging his tail frantically. As soon as the shaking stopped, Babu nudged Akanuma, urging her to put on her leash. Despite it being earlier than their usual walk, she agreed and took her dog outside. Just as they were leaving the house, the town's tsunami warning system started blaring, and Akanuma knew they needed to evacuate. Instead of taking their usual route, Babu pulled Akanuma towards a nearby hill. He would stop and look back at her as if urging her to hurry. They repeated this pattern until they reached the top of the hill. When they finally looked back, they saw the devastating tsunami had completely wiped out their town. A 133-foot-high wave, equivalent to a 13-story building, had destroyed everything. If it hadn't been for Babu's instinct and persistence, Akanuma would have been one of the 19,000 people who lost their lives that day. One morning, just like any other, Claire Nelson woke up and felt perfectly normal. She made herself a cup of tea and a snack, but her 10-year-old cat, Rusty, was acting strange. He was meowing loudly and jumping on her and clawing at her chest and legs. Something felt off when her tiny cat started acting strange. I interviewed him when he just said... She hopped on a bus to the hospital. Right in the middle of her trip, she felt a sharp pain in her chest. She called 911, and luckily she was close to the hospital and made it just in time. The doctor said that just a little later she would be in a critical state. She'd adopted Rusty 2 years ago and was probably the best decision she ever made. She saved his life, and now it was his turn to save hers. Whether it was a cat's intuition or just strange coincidence, one thing's for sure, Rusty wasn't going to lose his human, and he was going to get lots of treats when Claire got home from the hospital. You might think elephants are just big, lumbering animals, but think again, they're actually incredibly smart, so smart that scientists have given them a special place among the world's most intelligent creatures. Don't believe me? Check out this amazing story. 8-year-old Amber Mason was vacationing with her family in Phuket, Thailand when a tsunami hit. When the first wave crashed, her parents were nowhere to be found, but thanks to Ningnong, a clever elephant, Amber was safe. Ningnong scooped her up and carried her to higher ground, even using his body as a shield. After the waves had passed, Amber's mother thought she had lost her daughter. Then, she saw Ningnong carrying Amber on his back. Overwhelmed with joy, she shared that if Amber had been alone on the beach or even by her side, she wouldn't have survived. Only the elephant could have endured those waves. To say thanks for saving Amber, the family will give Ningnong's owner 30 pounds every month. That means more yummy sugar cane for Ningnong. Oklahoma City is one of the fastest-growing cities in the southern United States, boasting world-class museums and amazing parks perfect for family fun. But that's not all. This city also has a brave dog that once fought off a robber. Meet D-Boy, a rescued Pitbull who had only been with his new family in Oklahoma City for 3 months. In 2008, Roberta Trawick and her family were sitting on the living room couch watching TV when an armed man broke into their home and ordered them to get on the floor. Out of nowhere, D-Boy dashed in from a nearby room to protect the Trawicks by charging at the intruder. Before D-Boy could reach the robber, he was shot 3 times, including twice in the head, but that didn't stop him. Pitbulls are known for their resilience and bravery, and D-Boy continued to charge, scaring the intruder enough to make him flee. Being shot 3 times is no small thing, though, and D-Boy was rushed to the veterinary hospital for emergency care. The vets were able to remove the bullets and save his life. They even noted that his strong skull helped him survive. What a lucky dog. He was later awarded the Human Society's People's Hero Award for his bravery. D-Boy's story quickly spread, and people came together to donate money to cover his medical bills. Thanks to their generosity, all the costs were fully paid off. So, next time, robbers better think twice before messing with a family that has a pit bull. I'm just kidding. There won't be a next time. When a big humpback whale started to push and guide the scientist Nan Hauser through the water, she was very confused. At first, she was scared and didn't know what to do. Then she realized the whale had seen something she hadn't. A big, scary tiger shark swimming nearby. When Nan saw the shark, she understood that the whale was trying to keep her safe and bring her back to her boat. Tiger sharks are one of the shark species that can attack people for no reason, and because of that, they're considered one of the most dangerous sharks in the world. Sharks have been around for 450 million years, and there are about 440 different kinds of sharks, but only about 30 of them are actually dangerous to humans. Tiger sharks are one of the big 3 dangerous sharks, along with great white sharks and bull sharks. Oh, I don't want to be bitten by those teeth. Nan, a lifelong whale conservationist, had never witnessed such an extraordinary event. Although she was aware of whales protecting seals from orcas, this was truly unique. While she couldn't read the whales' minds, she was certain of their desire to help other creatures. It's also interesting to note that more people die from bee stings or coconuts falling on their heads than from shark attacks. What if you're swimming in the ocean and all of a sudden dolphins started circling you? It'd be like being your own personal dolphin show. But there's a twist. A pod of dolphins saved a group of swimmers from a great white shark off the coast of North New Zealand. The incident occurred when lifeguard Rob Howes was swimming with his 15-year-old daughter Nisi and 2 of her friends near the town of Whangarei. He recounted that the dolphins started herding us together, pushing us all together by swimming in tight circles around us. He explained that when he tried to escape the protective huddle, 2 larger dolphins forced him back in. Then I realized my mistake, he said. A massive 3-meter great white shark was charging straight at us, but it seemed to be repelled by the circle of dolphins and swam away. He continued it was only about 2 meters from me. At this moment, he realized that the dolphins had formed a protective circle around them. Another lifeguard, Matt Fleet, saw the dolphins circling the swimmers and slapping their tails on the water to keep them still. He told the newspaper that he could clearly see the sharks circling around us well, but the dolphins must have sensed that humans were in danger and they needed to act to protect them. Experts say that dolphins only attack sharks when it's necessary to protect themselves and their young. Perhaps they see humans as weak creatures that need to be protected. That's what we want you to think about this creature for. However, from a scientific point of view, it's just a reflex. When they see something falling in the sea, whether it's a sponge or a piece of wood, dolphins will lift it up, and most importantly, they have to surface to breathe after a while. This further confirms that dolphins saving people is just a conditioned reflex to the action of lifting foreign objects on the sea's surface while they surface to regulate their breathing. Yuck! Pigs really like playing in the mud, so they're usually pretty dirty. But don't judge them by their appearance. A pig once saved a woman's life in Pennsylvania when she had a heart attack. When Joanne Altsman had a heart attack at home, her husband was out fishing. It seemed like death was near, but she was lucky to have her loyal companion, Lula, the pig. Pigs are incredible, intelligent, and sensitive animals, so Lula knew right away that something was wrong when she saw Joanne lying there. After trying unsuccessfully to help Joanne get up, she ran outside, stood in the middle of the road, squealing loudly until a driver stopped to see why the pig was making so much noise. Lula led the man to Joanne. An ambulance was called immediately before it was too late. The doctor said if they had been there just 15 minutes later, she might not be here to tell us the story. Pigs are actually in the top 10 most intelligent animals on Earth, you know. Studies have shown that a middle-aged pig can be smart as a 3-year-old human. That's why more people are keeping pigs as pets instead of turning them into sausages. Because of her brave act, Lula was rewarded with lots of jelly donuts. Yeah, I love jelly donuts too. Lions are notorious and fierce predators. I'm talking about wild lions here, not the ones you see in the circus or on The Lion King. They can attack humans if we wander to their territory. But in Ethiopia, we have a truly heartwarming story about these wild lions. A little girl was on her way home from school when she was suddenly kidnapped by 4 men. The police were hot on their trail, but a week later, when the kidnappers thought the plan was foolproof, the tables were completely turned. When the kidnappers were taking the girl away, they ran into 3 lions. You know, with 3 lions, 4 kidnappers don't stand a chance. Not even 40 would. With their powerful bite and fierce nature, they could send these guys to the underworld with just a love bite. Just look at these teeth. I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that bite. The kidnappers fled, leaving the girl behind, but the lions didn't attack her, as you might expect. Instead, they stayed with her until the police arrived. According to one officer, they stood guard until we found the girl, and then they simply left her like a gift and returned to the forest. Pretty strange, right? Some experts believe that the police arrived just in time to prevent a tragedy, but others suggest that the girl's cries for help might have sounded like a lion cub's, making their lions feel the need to protect her. Anyway, for a 12-year-old Ethiopian girl, those creatures were lifesavers. Nature isn't always cruel, and lions aren't always dangerous. But still be careful around lions, okay? I wouldn't want to lose a viewer. You might think of Pitbulls as tough and scary dogs, but they can actually be very gentle and make great babysitters for kids. This next story is a perfect example. This story happened to a family in California. On a beautiful day, well, actually it wasn't that great. A fire broke out while the mother Nana Chai and her child were asleep. The dog Sasa was smart enough to realize the danger and ran to Nana Chai, barking to wake her up. Then Sasa ran to the baby's room, carried the baby out of the fire. Luckily, all 3 of them managed to escape just in time. Look at this exit. If they had been a little slower, no one would have survived. Now it's time to clean up this mess, but they're incredibly grateful for life and for their dog, Sasa, who saved them. We just saw a dog save someone from a fire. What could be better than that? Oh, right. How about a pit bull rescuing a family and their pack of dogs, not just once, but twice in the same house fire? Early on Tuesday morning, smoke and flames engulfed this family's home near Wellston. Rhonda Westenberger said she and her sister Evelyn were deep in dreamland, completely unaware of the danger approaching until their pit bull named Baby came to their rescue. She shared that the 10-year-old dog kept barking and nudging them until they woke up. By the time they realized that the smoke was filling the room, they had only seconds to escape the burning house. The fire was blazing down the hallway and about to reach their room. If Baby hadn't woke Evelyn up, I don't think they could have made it out. The woman managed to escape, but there were still 5 puppies trapped inside. So once again, Baby sprang into action. Baby charged through the flames, grabbing each puppy by the neck and carrying them out, one by one, before the fire consumed the house. Although the house was destroyed, Baby gave them hope and a chance to rebuild. Oh, just a moment. The firefighters have discovered that the cause of the fire was a home dryer. Every year, firefighters across the country respond to around 13,820 home fires caused by clothes dryers. About 27% of these fires are caused by accumulation of lint. So remember, clean the dryer duct at least once a year. Alright, maybe this isn't the story of a brave animal saving lives, but Sammy the chicken has always been by Dave Cox's side, helping him get through tough times. While dogs are often called man's best friend, for Dave Cox, His heart belongs to a chicken. After saying goodbye to his faithful dog Court, Dave didn't think he could ever bond with another animal the same way. And then fate stepped in when he came back from a pet store with a tiny chick in his hand. Many people didn't see chickens as caring, fun companions, but Dave thought differently. This dynamic duo went everywhere together, from Florida to New Orleans, Louisiana, whether it was to the beach or just to the grocery store. Did you know that owning a chicken as a pet is very different from having a dog? While dogs might run up to you, wag their tails, and lick your face, chickens aren't quite like that. They don't show affection the same way dogs do, but they can recognize your voice and face. Right now, Dave and Sammy's adventures are getting a lot of attention on Instagram, and the chicken has a huge following. You know the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, right? That amazing, beautiful bridge? Well, as much as it is a tourist attraction, but sadly it's also been the site of many tragic endings. Due to bipolar disorder and a series of psychosis, Kevin Hines, then just 19 years old, attempted to take his own life by jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. As he was falling, he realized how foolish it was. Amazingly, he survived the impact but was severely injured, and he fought with all his might to keep himself afloat in the freezing water. He could feel something moving in the water. A shark! I'm doomed, he thought in panic. But then to his surprise, the creature gave him a little push towards the shore. He had no idea what had rescued him until he saw photos taken by witnesses. It turned out to be a sea lion. How incredible is that? If it had been a great white shark, the story might have turned out very differently. After realizing it was a mistake, Kevin Hines now travels the world, educating people about mental health and suicide prevention. Let's give a like for the heroic sea lion. That's all for today's animal rescue stories. Which animal do you think deserves the top prize for their heroic actions? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.